Ever wondered why we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect? It's a question that nags at many of us, lurking in the corners of our minds, amid the hustle and bustle of our daily lives. You see, we live in a society where perfection is often held as the gold standard. We're expected to have flawless careers, immaculate homes, and impeccable lives. Now, imagine a world where we celebrate our flaws instead of hiding them. Intriguing, isn't it? That's the world envisioned by Brené Brown, a renowned researcher and storyteller, in her groundbreaking book, The Courage to Be Imperfect. This book is a clarion call to embrace our imperfections, to find beauty in our flaws, and to understand that it's in our vulnerability that we find our true strength. Get ready for an enlightening journey as we explore Brené's revolutionary ideas and insights. So, are you ready to embrace your imperfections? Stay tuned as we delve into the key insights from this transformative book. Brené Brown, a research professor, has spent years studying courage, vulnerability, shame, and empathy. You might think of a research professor as someone locked away in a library or lab, surrounded by stacks of books or rows of test tubes. But Brené Brown is a different kind of researcher. Her laboratory is the human heart and mind, her tools are compassion and understanding, and her discoveries are reshaping how we view ourselves and interact with others. With a PhD in social work, Brown's work delves deep into our emotional landscape, tackling concepts that many of us struggle with on a daily basis. She's not just a scholar, but a storyteller, weaving together her research findings with real-life experiences that resonate with all of us. One of the key concepts Brown has explored is the idea of imperfection. We live in a society that often demands perfection, setting impossibly high standards for beauty, success, and happiness. But Brown's research suggests that this pursuit of perfection is not only unattainable, it's also harmful to our well-being. It can lead to feelings of shame, fear, and inadequacy, and prevent us from living authentic, meaningful lives. Instead, Brown encourages us to embrace our imperfections. She believes that it's our flaws and vulnerabilities that make us human, and that acknowledging these aspects of ourselves is a powerful form of courage. This doesn't mean we should revel in our shortcomings or use them as an excuse not to strive for improvement. Rather, it's about accepting ourselves as we are, with all our strengths and weaknesses, and acknowledging that we are enough, just as we are. Brown's research is a challenge to the prevailing cultural narrative of perfection. It's a call to be brave, to be vulnerable, and to be authentic. It's a reminder that we're all human, all flawed, and all worthy of love and acceptance. In her book, she presents a compelling argument on why we should have the courage to be imperfect. This idea, so simple yet so profound, has the potential to transform our relationships with ourselves and with others, and to create a world where we feel more connected, more authentic, and more alive. The Courage to Be Imperfect is not just a book, it's a guide to self-acceptance. It delves deep into the core of our existence and nudges us to question, explore, and ultimately accept ourselves, imperfections and all. The book enlightens us with several key insights, each a stepping stone towards personal growth and self-improvement. Firstly, the book brings to light the importance of authenticity. It underlines the fact that in a world that is constantly persuading us to conform, staying true to ourselves is a courageous act. It reminds us that our worth is not determined by societal standards of success or perfection, but is inherent. Brené Brown urges us to embrace our individuality and authenticity, to let our true selves shine through regardless of how unconventional or imperfect that might be. The second key insight from the book is the power of vulnerability. Often we perceive vulnerability as a weakness. We build walls around ourselves, fearing judgment or rejection. But Brené Brown challenges this view. She suggests that vulnerability is not weakness, but rather a strength. It is the birthplace of creativity, innovation, and change. By allowing ourselves to be seen, truly and deeply seen, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and experiences. We learn to live with our whole hearts, even if there's no guarantee of reciprocation or acceptance. The third essential insight revolves around the role of empathy in our lives. Empathy is not just about understanding another person's perspective, it's about connecting with the emotions that underpin that perspective. Empathy fuels connection while sympathy drives disconnection. Brené Brown emphasizes that when we practice empathy, we create a safe space for others to be themselves, to be vulnerable. And in doing so, we also create that space for ourselves. These insights from The Courage to Be Imperfect are transformative. They encourage us to look beyond the surface, beyond the masks that we wear, to see and accept our authentic selves. They remind us that it's okay to be vulnerable, to risk being seen for who we truly are. They urge us to connect with others not just on a superficial level, but on a deeper, more emotional level. By embracing our authenticity, we liberate ourselves from the constraints of societal expectations. By acknowledging our vulnerability, we open ourselves to growth, creativity, and genuine connection. And by practicing empathy, we foster a sense of belonging and understanding, both for others and for ourselves. These insights challenge us to let go of who we think we're supposed to be and embrace who we are. They push us to understand that our imperfections are not shortcomings, but rather, they are what make us unique. They remind us that it's not about being perfect, but about being courageous enough to accept ourselves, complete with our imperfections. So let's take a step towards self-acceptance, towards understanding that our value lies not in our perfection, but in our courage to accept and embrace our imperfections. Because, as Brené Brown so eloquently puts it, the courage to be imperfect is not about attaining perfection. It's about embracing our beautifully imperfect selves. So, how can we apply these insights to our everyday lives? The first step is to practice self-compassion. We often hold ourselves to impossible standards, expecting perfection at every turn. But remember, we're all human. We all stumble and fall, and it's okay. Instead of berating ourselves for our mistakes, we should treat ourselves with kindness and understanding. This isn't about making excuses for our shortcomings, but rather, acknowledging that we're works in progress. So the next time you make a mistake, don't beat yourself up. Instead, take a deep breath, acknowledge the misstep, and think about what you can learn from it. Embracing vulnerability is another crucial step. In a world that often equates vulnerability with weakness, it takes courage to show up as we truly are, imperfections and all. But as Brené Brown points out, vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. It's about having the courage to take risks, to step outside of our comfort zones, to expose ourselves to potential failure. So don't shy away from being vulnerable. See it as an opportunity to grow and evolve. Alongside self-compassion and vulnerability, fostering empathy is key. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's about stepping into someone else's shoes and seeing the world from their perspective. Empathy not only helps us connect with others on a deeper level, but it also helps us to be less judgmental and more understanding. So the next time you find yourself quick to judge, take a moment to consider the other person's perspective. You might find that your judgment softens, replaced with a newfound understanding and compassion. Moreover, it's important to realize that imperfection isn't something to be eradicated, but rather embraced. It's a fundamental part of who we are. It's what makes us unique, what makes us human. As Brené Brown states, imperfections are not inadequacies, they are reminders that we're all in this together. So let's stop striving for perfection, and instead celebrate our imperfections. Finally, remember that the journey towards embracing imperfection isn't a linear one. There will be days when self-doubt creeps in, when vulnerability feels too risky, when empathy seems out of reach. That's okay. It's all part of the process. What's important is that we keep moving forward, that we keep striving to be the best versions of ourselves, imperfections and all. By embodying these insights, we can start to shift our perspective on imperfection. We can start to see it not as a flaw, but as a strength. We can start to see it not as a barrier, but as a gateway to authenticity and fulfillment. By having the courage to be imperfect, we can lead a more authentic and fulfilling life. Brené Brown's The Courage to Be Imperfect is a transformative guide to embracing our flaws. We've journeyed through the profound insights of this remarkable book, unraveling the concept of imperfection and the inherent strength that lies in accepting our idiosyncrasies. We've discovered that it is not perfection, but the courage to be imperfect that truly sets us free. We've learned that vulnerability isn't a weakness, but a conduit to authentic connections. We've delved into how our fear of being imperfect can hold us back, and how letting go of these fears can open doors to growth and self-discovery. Let's take a moment to reflect on our own perceptions of perfection. How can we embrace our flaws and turn them into our strengths? How can we apply these insights to our lives and become more authentic, more courageous, more ourselves? Remember, it takes courage to be imperfect. So be brave, be you, and share this message with others who might need to hear it.